day. My name is Rinky Magamela. Welcome back to Monday reTsene with Pretoria Psychologists. Today we will be talking about men's mental health. Particularly, we'll be talking about creating a safe space for men. There is a silent cry about men's mental health. It's a cry and it's also sort of like a crisis. It's a silent crisis. It comes subtly when it comes to men. And suicide and substance abuse are most prevalent in most men because there is this cry of their mental health that is not okay. So there are low reported cases of depression amongst men, and doesn't mean that when they're not reported, there is no depression in men. And we'll also be talking about the risk factors and social determinants that of the high rates of men's mental health, that mental disorders. What is the social, what are the determinants? What are the things that make men to have mental health disorders? And also men do suffer depression. They do suffer depression as same as women are suffering from depression. But the issue is that men don't react to depression as the same as women, because we women, we talk. You get to the taxi, you find a stranger, you talk. You can even cry in that spot. But when it comes to men express their, the way you can see a man that is depressed, some they express through anger, aggression, passive aggression. Others, they engage in substance abuse. Others, they do different things, violence, because that's how they express their anger. So we'll be discussing that so that we create a safe space for our brothers, our fathers, our uncles, our sons, so that we may not raise a generation that is angry, a generation that is depressed, because honestly, men do need support. So there are other things like, stress, work stress, employment. In African men, their success, their sense of worth is tied into what they've achieved and how much they're making. And if a man doesn't have that, doesn't have a salary in his pocket or any financial, cash flow, they feel like they're not worthless. And because the society has actually created that picture that a man must be a provider. And now this is 21st century. Things are different. Now we are both providers. We are both going to work. So our men, they're still under that pressure that they need to provide and be all the saviors for us. And sometimes men also, they experience divorce, they experience family problems, because as I've said, that men don't deal with the same issues as women, because women, we are allowed, but men, they actually, in Sepedi, we are saying that it's like a man is a sheep, he cries within, something like that. So a man is not supposed to cry. Well, our men need to know that it's okay not to be okay. And sometimes men, though, they do experience some of the social determinants. They experience adverse childhood events, childhood trauma. Others, they've experienced the things that, they used to be beat up, they felt rejected, they were not raised by their own parents. Others, they had to be raised to their uncles. Others, they grew up on the streets. Others, their fathers are not there. They grew up without fathers. So as a result, a young boy grows up with this rejection. And as they grow up with this rejection, they reject themselves. And when they reject themselves, they turn out rejecting other people. And the funny thing and the sad part is that this rejection, we saw in this adverse childhood event or experiences, we see them when they're in the place of work, when they're growing, when they're in their relationships. The people who suffer the most are their partners. So that's why we need to raise awareness that our fathers, our brothers, our young boys, they need to be aware that there are mental health issues and there is support out there. So these are some of the childhood traumatic events that I've just explained. Others, they were even raped as boy children. Life transitions, life, there is always, you lose a job, they dump you. There's just so many things that the transitions of life that can actually prone men into depression or mental health, mental disorders. So they could experience that at all, because men do not talk about their feelings. If you had to find a man that is vulnerable, really, it's very rare to find a man who's vulnerable and really talk about how they're feeling. It takes a lot to create a safe space for a man to talk about how they feel. So there are a few of them. Out of 95%, I think 5% is those that can really talk about their feelings, because we really need to, be that generation whereby the boys, they are no longer that thing that I'm a boy, I have to be strong. You don't have to be strong for anyone. So when we are creating a safe space for men, because men tend to be reluctant to even seek help, because we know even our primary facilities, men don't go to the clinic. He would go to the clinic when he's at the brink, when he's at the peak of dying. That's when he would visit the hospital. So in men, they're reluctant. In nature, they're reluctant to seek help. But most of the things are because of what the society has taught them. So when we create a safe space, it promotes trust, it reduces stigma, it normalizes men to engage in issues, social issues. It actually, now I'm just like a group of men who are involved in, gender-based violence. There's a hashtag called Not In My Name. So we are creating, now there are interventions, there are talks that allows men to talk, because the very same perpetrators are the ones who also experience those traumatic events. So if we speak their language and we engage men in a non-threatening way, around mental health, because we need to have a way of, talking to men in a way that will not make them feel less of a man. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. In a non-threatening way, in a way that will validate their existence, validates their importance, validates their value. At the same time, making them providing that safe space for them to be vulnerable. We can start to talk by engaging them with the issues of depression, of anxiety, and how they feel about mental disorders. Because others, they don't even know that they're depressed. Others, they don't know that they're heavy mental health issues. So we can start engaging on such topics with them. And we can also let them know that we all struggle. In one way or the other, we do struggle. All of us, we do struggle. Sometimes a man would just sit and thinking that I'm the only one who doesn't have a job. My children think like this about me. They think I'm useless. My wife thinks I'm useless. My partner thinks that everyone in the society, everyone laughs at me. There's that stigma that men think that if I could just come out, everyone will laugh at me. And also, again, that we need to encourage men that it's okay to seek help. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It doesn't mean when you're seeing a psychologist or you're going to see a doctor or, seeking any kind of help, maybe needing pastoral counseling, it doesn't mean that you're weak. It's not a weakness to seek help. It's actually a strength. Seeking help, you're taking control of your situation. That's why you are seeking help. So it's very important to seek help. There is nothing wrong. It's okay not to be okay. You won't be the hero all the time. We need to create that space where you need to be vulnerable to your children. Your children need to know that Papa doesn't have money now. Uncle doesn't have money now. Uncle can't provide now. They need to know. You don't have to, move mountains. Yes, you can move mountains. But if it comes to a point that it will make you to become toxic, because sometimes men, some men, they have a tendency that if I provide for this person, it's enough. Even if I could just hit her with 1,000, you say, you know what, you are irritating me, and I give you a block of 10,000, and you feel like just hitting it to her or to him, and you feel like I am providing, and that's not enough. So we need to have a way of engaging situations without having a sort of like a seed of aggression, or sort of like a hint of aggression, being aggressive. And also, again, as society, we need to tone down our expectations when it comes to men. We need to tone down expectations, because we expect everything. A boy child is expected to go to school, and then when he's done going to school, and then he needs to work. And with the high rate of unemployment in South Africa, times are hard now. So they're expected that they must come back and take their younger sibling to school. And then when they're 30, they realize that I haven't really achieved much, because I took a lot of my time taking my siblings to school, which is okay. But we also need to know where to draw the line. So there are so many things. So we need to tone down the expectations when it comes to men, that it's okay not to be okay. A boy child, it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. There is nothing wrong with crying as a man. You know, when times are tough, you know, lock yourself in the room, cry. If you feel like you are praying, pray. So anything that will make you feel better. Unlike going into drugs, depression, seeking drugs and alcohol abuse, or even engaging in risky sexual activities. So it is important to allow yourself to be vulnerable, you know. And also again, you need to, now this is just me addressing our men, our fathers, our uncles, our young boys. There are support structures. There are, you know, the people in the clinics. There are people in the, you know, in the hospitals. There are churches. There are people who are providing support. There are friends. You've got friends that you can confide into. You know, there are structures. There are people who are willing to help, the family members, the people that you can trust, that, you know, you can talk to. You know, transition mindset also, again, we need to, our traditional roles, we have transitioned now. It's no longer, you know, those years. You know, times are different now. You can talk to your woman, you can talk to your mother, you can talk to anyone, and if you are not feeling. So we need to reach out to our brothers as ladies. You know, we need to tone down the expectations that we expect them to become the savior of the world, whereas we know that the struggle is for us all. So thank you so much for watching.